This video is brought to you by Delta Dental.
Hi, I'm Eddie Hall III, Chief Operating Officer of the Hall Automotive Group. Welcome to the Virtual Intern Experience. When I went to college, my initial gut was I wanted to go into family business. And then you get in an environment with all business-minded students and, there's the allure of Wall Street or working in finance. That seemed very intriguing. I also was in college in 2008, 2009, which we kind of know was like the automotive industry took a really bad downturn at that point. And so when I told people I was thinking about going into automotive, they thought I was crazy and really tried to talk me out of it. And so I was hesitant, and that's why I did my internships and explored public accounting, which I actually loved. But I wanted to have a backup plan. So I said, let me get my CPA license. I know that I can always have that to fall back on. But in my gut, I felt like, my dad spent 40 years building this business. He built it to support a family. And I thought I had to give it a shot. I thought that I had to sort of try to build upon what he had built and really wanted to work with him and grow the business even more. And so I thought, I'll give it a try. It doesn't work out. I had a backup plan too. It's tough. I mean, working in a family business is really challenging because as my dad started this business, things were very, very different. I mean, he talks about how, he did this before there were computers, before there were fax machines. So he's very antiquated. I mean, to give you an example, like he still uses an old school flip phone. He doesn't have an email address, none of that. So it's been challenging. I think the way I try to honor his ideals are he really wanted to have a business that felt like a family business. He wants our employees and our team to feel like they're part of the team, they're part of the family, open door policy. So people, our team knows us, they feel comfortable with us, like to do fun things and outings with them. We just want to make it, we don't want to be too corporate. We want to make it a fun, family-friendly environment and really make our team members feel like they're part of our family. And so I try to honor that while still modernizing our practices. I mean, customer expectations have changed tremendously. I think people, they call it the Amazon effect. People are used to getting things pretty quickly and easy without a lot of red tape. And so that's been a big part of my job is modernizing all of our processes and making the experience more customer friendly, more customer centric. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I transitioned into leadership roles at a young age. And so I think that was one of the things that was challenging for me is I was oftentimes the youngest leader in the company. Now my team has transitioned to we're out some younger people. But when I joined in 2010, I was probably the youngest person on staff and started in a leadership role. I've always been really big on credentials. So that's why I felt proud and excited to have my CPA license. And I'm a big believer in not just telling people what to do, but being able to show and do it myself as well. And so there's not a job outside of fixing a car mechanically at the store that I could ask somebody to do that I couldn't do myself. And so I don't have a problem jumping in and doing things and just showing them that I'm not asking them to do anything that I wouldn't do either. I think that, people like to say, leave business at work. That doesn't happen, right? When you're working in a family business, there's just no way because it's such an important part of who you are as a family. It doesn't happen. It spills over into family life and personal life too. But I think just being clear about roles and expectations is important, and defining those. The more that you can have them written down is key. I mean, I joke about when I started, and that's not something I have to really work with my dad on a lot too, because he's old school. So he's a handshake kind of guy, we'll figure it out later kind of guy. And so I joke, but literally when I started, I had no idea sort of what my compensation was going to be, what my hours were going to be. It was just coming, you start on Tuesday, show up. Turning down a job offer with a Big Four accounting firm, not knowing what I was walking into was difficult, and it's worked out. But I've just tried to practice that. Like, let's have things written down. Let's have clear expectations, clear definitions, because it does make things easier for everybody. I think what was very eye-opening to me about how cars have changed and how the skill set of an automotive technician has changed was like my eyes and everyone's eyes were really widely opened during COVID and coming out of COVID. So if you guys remember COVID, there was major car shortages, like dealerships didn't have cars, and most of that was because of shortages of chips. They couldn't get microchips to produce cars. And while we know how high tech the cars are and that they're essentially 2,000-pound computers, I don't think we realize that there are hundreds of microchips in every car that there is. Everything from, how the wipers work, to how the blinkers work, to the navigation system. Every part of the car has a different microchip that controls it. And so that was sort of eye-opening to really understand that that's how cars ran. What was also interesting and sort of eye-opening was part of the shortage happened because during the time of COVID, consumer electronic sales skyrocketed. So the same chips that we're putting in cars were chips that could be repurposed and sent to consumer electronics. So a lot of the big chip producers reallocated their stock and their shipments to other areas, and that's why the automotive industry lost out. So I say all that to say that, we really realize that these cars are extremely high tech, and that most of the time what the technician is fixing is more computer-based than oil and wrench-based. So the skill set is changing. It's kind of crazy. I mean, one of the big things that they're proud of with EVs is a lot of the things that go wrong in your car can now be fixed with an over-the-air update. You don't have to come in, a technician doesn't have to physically touch your car. They can literally send new software to the car to fix a lot of the issues. And so I'm hoping that as an industry, we can do a good job of letting people understand that mechanics of the past, the world's going to be very different. And it's going to be a much more computer technical path versus oil and wrench. Yeah, I mean, I think that internships are so important because a lot of times, I mean, you hear buzzwords or you hear even buzz majors, finance, accounting, marketing, but what does that really mean? What do you really do in those roles, right? And so I went to business school knowing, I always knew I wanted to go to business school. I didn't know exactly what that meant or what I wanted to do within business. Went through my first year of intro level courses, and I just really happened to like my first intro to accounting course. And I was good at it. And so I said, well, let's explore this. And so I was able to do a couple of internships in public accounting to figure out, what does an accountant do? What does this actually mean? Because there's what's in the textbook, but that's not necessarily what gets done in terms of a career path and in terms of a job. And so I think without having that sort of experience, it's really tough to know what a role is, what a field is. And so I think that's why an internship is so important. I think the first thing I look for is passion for the field or the role that they're doing. A lot of skills and the technical side of things, as long as you have a willingness to learn, a lot of that stuff can be taught. And so I think I want to see that somebody has an interest or a passion for what they're going to be doing is number one. And then number two, I think being a good communicator. So, my business is customer facing. Most of my employees interact with customers. And so just making sure they have a good set of communication skills so they can act in a professional manner and that they can communicate and work well in a team environment are the two big things I look for. A lot of the technical stuff, it can be taught as long as you have a willingness and an aptitude to learn it. I think my best advice for trying to decide what you want to do is make sure something that you're interested in. And passion is maybe a big or a tough word, but just think about the fact that you're going to spend more time typically at work than you do at home, more time with coworkers than with family. And so I just think it's important that you find something that you enjoy doing, that you're interested in, that's going to keep you motivated, because life's short. Just you got to do something that you like. And so I think explore, take an internship, figure out what it is that you like and that you can really, have some fun with, because you're going to spend a lot more time at work than at home, especially starting out. So one of my roles outside of working in the dealership every day is I support our OEMs on things like boards and council. So I sit on the Ford National Dealer Council, working directly with them in all their strategic planning that has anything to do with the dealer body. And so I kind of get a peek behind the curtains as to what they're doing. One of the things that's really been surprising to me lately is they're hiring a ton of people and recruiting a ton of people. They're recruiting people away from Apple, from Google, from all the big tech firms, because they've gone to a more of a hybrid work environment. Not everyone has to live in Detroit anymore or in Dearborn, but they're hiring people from all over the world. And so Ford now is hiring more software engineers, more people with specializing in AI and technology, I think people have the conception that working in automotive, either you're in sales or you're a mechanic, and then you kind of are in those two boxes, but they're really transforming these companies into tech companies. And so the vast skill set of people that they're hiring, I mean, literally they've hired the number 2 and 3 people away from Apple to transform their integrated services business. And they're hiring people to help them with, autonomy in the future. And so I just think there's so many more career paths within automotive than just fixing a car or being in sales or in marketing. And sometimes people aren't aware of the scope and type of people that automotive companies are hiring. I think if I could offer a couple pieces of advice for accepting a job in a family-owned and operated business, first and foremost would be to pay attention to culture. I think that's going to be what helps you to succeed. I think that culture is to me probably more important and looked at more closely in a family business than in something that's more corporate. For us, like, culture is everything, right? So it's about the look, the feel, the dynamic with how we work together. It's really important to us. It's really important to us that people get along and like each other and work well together. And so I think making sure that you're going to fit into whatever culture is there is going to be important. I think that family businesses are typically slower to change in culture, right? So big corporations, if they want to kind of change direction of the ship, they will. That's typically a lot slower to happen in a family business. And so making sure that you fit in or agree with or like the culture that's there, I think is something that you should really look at before accepting a role within a family business. And then 2, I think in terms of longevity and career path, ask those questions, right? If you want to know how you can succeed within a family business and what your career path is going to look like, ask. I don't think that's a bad thing to ask up front. For us, while the hope is that the business will always maintain family leadership at the head of the company, I'm looking to expand. I have partners in some of my the businesses that we own, and so there's opportunities for people within the company to become general managers, to become partners, and so there's definitely room for career growth. And we talk about that when I'm hiring somebody, especially a senior level person. I tell them that, look, my plan is to continue to expand, and I'm always going to be looking for partners in that expansion. And so there is that opportunity there. We're very upfront about it. I don't think it's something that's bad to ask before you make a decision to join a family business.
Thank you for watching. To learn more, check out virtualinternexperience.com.